Our story starts in Britain, the epicenter of the Industrial Revolution. Industrialization is generally associated with factories, factory production and factory workers. Naturally, such narratives must begin with the setting up of the first factories. The only problem with this is that one could be misled into thinking that there was no large-scale industrial production happening before the advent of factories. In fact, even before factories became a part of the landscape in England and Europe, large-scale industrial production for an international market was taking place. This production was not centered around factories. This phase is now referred to as proto-industrialization by many historians. In the 17th and 18th centuries, merchants from European towns began to move towards the rural areas. They began giving money to peasants and craftspersons and persuaded them to produce goods for an international market. As world trade expanded and new territories were colonized around the world, the demand for goods increased. But merchants could not expand production within towns. The towns were off limits because here crafts and trade guilds were very strong. Guilds were granted monopoly rights by rulers, which allowed them to produce and trade specific goods. These guilds made it very difficult for new merchants to establish a business in the towns. So, they went to the villages instead. In the villages, poor peasants and artisans started working for merchants. This time period was marked by the disappearance of open fields and enclosure of commons, that is, land that everyone could access. Cottagers, that is, villagers and peasants, were dependent on commonage for survival. They extracted firewood, berries, vegetables, hay and straw from the common lands. The disappearance of the commons forced rural folk to look for other sources of income. Many owned small plots of land, which could not employ all the members of a family. Under such circumstances, out-of-towner merchants provided a welcome opportunity to peasants. The advances offered by merchants to produce goods were happily accepted. Peasants could now continue to live in the countryside and cultivate their small plots while making an income. Income from proto-industrial production allowed rural families to supplement their reduced agricultural incomes. Families were also able to make full use of available labor resources. To understand this better, let's look at the story of the Latham family, who lived in Lancashire, England in the 18th century. The father, Richard, owned a small piece of land on which he grew wheat and barley. His wife, Nanny, and their daughters were able to increase the household income significantly by spinning yarn for textile manufacturers in a nearby city. Richard's meticulous account books reveal increased expenditure on frivolous items such as books, newspapers, and better quality clothing since the time his daughters joined the workforce. The Lathams were able to live a comfortable life because of their participation in proto-industrial production. This system nurtured a close relationship between the town and the countryside. The merchants lived in towns and outsourced their work to the countryside. A clothier or cloth merchant in England would have bought wool from a wool stapler, that is, a person who sorts wool, and took it to the spinners. The spinners would spin the yarn, that is, the thread. This thread was then taken through different stages by weavers, fullers, that is, people who cleaned and thickened cloth, and the dyers. The cloth would finally be finished in London before being exported by the merchants. London became the finishing center of the proto-industrial production system. This system was characterized by a network of commercial exchanges. The system was controlled by merchants, and goods were produced by a large number of producers, like the Lathams, working on their small family farms and not in factories. Each merchant employed at least 20 to 25 workers at each stage of the production. If you look at the number of steps involved in producing a product like cloth, it becomes quite clear that each clothier controlled hundreds of workers. would you not consider this industrial production?